There's no such thing as an achievement gap. It's not like these kids can't achieve. It's an access gap. For me, the belief is that if I can give more children access, I can create more freed children.
Steve Perry, founder of Capital Preparatory Magnet School in Hartford, Connecticut, knows all too well the disadvantages poor children face when it comes to receiving quality instruction. Born into poverty, Perry has made it his life goal to ensure that all students, regardless of race and class, have access to effective teachers and a college education. His methods appear to be working. Perry's Capital Prep has been recognized by U.S. News and World Report as one of America's best high schools. A CNN contributor and author of Push Has Come to Shove, Getting Our Kids the Education They Deserve, Perry is redefining our definition of academic success.
You have described yourself as being the third generation born into poverty. Can you give us a little bit of a sense of how that experience shaped you?
It's mostly in retrospect that I think about growing up, because I had a lot of fun growing up. When you live in public housing, the prerequisite for living there, in addition to being poor, is that you have to have children. So it was like Oz for kids. It's just kids everywhere. And because our parents were either working or doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, it was always someone to play something with. Poverty didn't really mean anything to me in that context. It didn't set in. And in fact, there was we wore poverty like it was a badge of honor. Like, yeah, we live in the projects. We'll beat you up. Say something. People didn't say anything. So it was pretty cool to be poor. Most of my aunts and uncles dropped out of high school. The last two graduated. My father dropped out, depending on his story. I don't know when actually the last day of school was for him, but I'm guessing around 14. Presuming that he was really even going before that. And my mother, she was pregnant by 15, and I was born on her 16th birthday.
It didn't sound like you had a lot of role models of folks who were going to college. And I wonder what allowed you, or what gave you the sense that you could do that?
I knew that the other stuff wasn't for me. A lot of my friends sold drugs. I wasn't morally against it. It just didn't seem like a cool thing to do, stand outside in the cold. I wasn't very interested in that. One of the things I felt like people felt that I couldn't do was school. I always felt that there were people who believed that it wasn't something that I could do in the representation of what I was. And I went through life thinking that I wasn't smart. I thought I was dumb. As a matter of fact, in elementary school, I stayed back. I was left back in the third grade because it was so much fun. I figured I'd do it twice. And I got in a lot of trouble growing up, all through elementary school and all the way through. But I didn't grow big enough to be a professional athlete, though I wanted to be. The other things that I saw in front of me were there. I didn't know what school was. I just knew that it seemed like a reasonable way out. And I remember my first week in college, Thursday of the first week, I thought, oh, shoot, I'm out of stuff. I used everything I learned in high school. I'm so done. But I didn't want to go back to the projects. And I didn't know what was on the other side, but it all seemed like it was better than what I had. I wish there was a lot of thought that went into it. It just seemed like the best route out.
Coming up next, Steve Perry gets personal.
You described struggling a little in school, and I wonder, is there a moment where somebody has faith in you, or you?
There were definitely people who had faith in me and believed in me and would tell me I was smart. And I always thought that they were hitting me with the gas. I always thought they were like trying to play me like, yeah, right, I'm smart. I remember one time an English teacher recommending me for a summer writing scholarship at Choate. Like, man, stop playing. I don't write. A lot of what I do and did was to show people, just to prove to people that they were stupid for ever doubting specifically me, and then people like me. Kids who just so happen to be born in a different womb than somebody else. And that womb lived in a different apartment than somebody else. And that apartment was in a different community. but that's it. That's all. There's no other distinguishing characteristics. They're both kids. I just wanted to prove that it could be done, and then drop the mic and walk away.
But you don't walk away and you don't drop the mic. In some ways, you keep going back on stage and pushing yourself. And so it's like, is there a moment where you decide, oh, I want to be an educator?
And I feel like a lot of people don't know they're slaves. And I feel that somehow, for some reason, among the many people that God has selected to do what I do, I'm one of them. I'm not the one, I'm one. And there are times where it would definitely be easier professionally to do something else. And for me, there's nothing else that seems more fun than being involved with kids. I don't really even like adults. Kids are so much cooler. Education is just the strategy, the most recent strategy that I've used to free our people. I run a homeless shelter. I worked at colleges. But all those didn't give me what I wanted. Working in some of the poorest communities in the country with children and giving them access to quality education, to me is that's the holy grail. I look up and I think there's no such thing as an achievement gap. It's not like these kids can't achieve, it's an access gap. So for me, the belief is that if I can give more children access, I can create more freed children. So many of our children in this country are growing up in the second and third world. There's an academic apartheid that is fully engulfing our entire academic system. It's a real deal. It is absolute apartheid. Well, if I and my team can create schools that are in the gutter and can give these kids access, those kids are gonna be unbeatable.